Hey guys, welcome to Adobe Live on Monday nights, the live stream, and welcome back. This is week number 4, and tonight we're going to be working on keyframe animation grading with some color scopes and a few other little tips and tricks that I have up my sleeve. And of course, we'll always be answering your questions over on YouTube if you have any. Just throw them in the chat over there, and I'll be happy to help you guys out if you need any of that help. So let's, without further ado, let's switch on over to the main system and let's get started. All right, so you kind of remember where we left off last time around. I added some text to the beginning and to the end of my video, so you can see them here. There it is at the end. We turn the audio down on the actual video itself. Let's just mute that. But you can see there's a little logo there, the DJI logo at the end. You know, it's nothing too spectacular. And then at the beginning we have the little year 1. I want to keep it pretty simple, but sometimes you might want to like animate your logo, or you might want to animate something in the actual video itself. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to show you guys how to keyframe. And that's the very first thing we're going to work on. So it's how to take a layer and keyframe. And that's putting down frames and then letting the program figure out what to do in between those frames. So I guess if I was trying to explain this easily to someone, if you imagine an item on the ground and you record that position, and then you take the item, and while the video is going, you just pick it up and move it across, let's say, your scene to the other side and record that position. All of those frames in between would be you picking up the item and walking with it and setting it down. So what keyframes do is they tell the video, here's the starting position, here's the ending position, get me there. And it will create that animation in between. That's what keyframes are. So you'll probably understand it a little bit more when you see me actually do it. So let's animate our first logo. So we're going to look at the timeline here, and we've got our little logo of our year 1. Well, let's just say that I wanted the year 1, instead of fading in, I want it to slide in from the right to the left. I want it to come in this way. So let me show you how you do that. You go to the first frame of the animation where your text is at, and then you click on the actual track itself and the text itself. And we're going to go up here to where we added the text and drop that box down, and you're going to see all these nifty, neat controls. In fact, the one I just changed all my font with. And then at the very bottom, there's a transform control. And if you open that up, you'll see a lot of these other things down here. So I'm gonna actually move this forward a few frames so I can see the text, because I have it fading out. And I want to keep that fade in like that because I want it to slide and fade at the same time. So what we need to do is change the position of the text. So if you look here, you can see that there are different positions. And if I move this, so if I'm going to move one of these, I can move it up and down, and I can move it left and right. Okay, just by sliding those. I'm clicking on it with the mouse, I'm holding down, and I'm sliding. So let's just Control Z back and put that back. So what we want to do is we want the text to slide in. So we're going to move the text off the screen, just like that. And then we're going to click this little stopwatch. And this little stopwatch next to each one of these tells Premiere to turn on keyframing. So we're going to turn on keyframing. Immediately you're going to see this little diamond light up over here. And if we were to look at this as we drop it down, we can actually see velocity, and we can also see down here, I think, not sure how they're doing this for I guess you could have to look at the bar over here. So let's make that more compact. There you go. So you can see over here on the bar the timeline. This is a sub timeline, by the way. It only covers the length that your text is available in the full timeline. So if we go to the end of it, there's no more. See, it just stops there at the end. All right. So what we want to do is we want the animation to start at the beginning. So that one that I put down while you could see it right there, we want to move that back to the beginning. So that keyframe goes all the way back there. So you just grab a hold of it, drag it back there. So now that keyframe, we start right at the beginning with the text off the screen. Next thing we're going to do is move forward in the timeline, and you just move to where you're going to be able to see the text, which means somewhere between these cross dissolves and dips to black and all that. Make sure you put it in the middle so you can see your text. And now I'm going to move the text over, and you're going to see one of those keyframes appear right here. Watch. See that? I can go ahead and change that value until I see my text appear. There we go. All right. Now, I'll show you what you do. Now, we want this to happen over the span of pretty much, I want it to slide out and sit there for a second. So I really want it to slide out to about there. So we're just going to take that and move it right there. Now, these curved lines that you see on here are the velocities that you want it to speed up and slow down. So if you want it to kind of come out fast and then ease in, now you can also move the timeline to see the animation so you can see the text move. See it? All right. I want mine to kind of ease into space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this spline and I'm going to pull it out a little bit. And you can see that I can actually adjust a curve here. Go. All right, now watch what happens now when I do this. See how it speeds up at the very end? Cool, huh? Kind of snaps into place. If we play the video, you can see the animation in real time. Yeah, it just kind of snaps into place. Well, I kind of want it to float out there. I don't want it to snap into place. So I think what we need to do on that. Get it? And get the animation the way I want it. Oops, I did it again. Oops, I did it again. All right. I'm used to working on quite a larger monitor, so not sure if I'm pulling down on these or pulling up on them. There we go. All right, and this should, if I pull this out, should move that. There we go. What we want this to look like is a ramp up and then down. We want it to come out quick. Ooh, there we go. Okay, see how it's coming out fast and then kind of appearing and slowing down. That's what I want. So we'll watch it in real time. There we go. Okay, so that's just simple keyframe animation. And you can also keyframe all of this other stuff too. Like I could have keyframed the opacity. I can keyframe the rotation of this if I want to. All sorts of crazy stuff. But I didn't need to because I'm using the filters to dissolve and all that. But I could have just done it all with opacity and keyframing. And that's how you do simple animation. Now, if I want to do more complex animation, obviously I would go over to After Effects and make a composition over there and then import it in there. And what's really cool about that is if you have After Effects open at the same time and you build your animation over there and you're using it in your project, as you bounce over to After Effects and make changes, they automatically get updated in Premiere. So you can tweak it in a separate program and they're linked together. So that's pretty cool. Let's just animate the graphic at the end, because I want to show you some other things that you can do with the animation. So let's say we've got this DJI here at the end. So we've got the logo and that all appear here at the end, kind of appear. So maybe I want to, maybe I'd like the drone to kind of start out small and then kind of pop in. So this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go this, because this is a bitmap and it's not a text, we have to do it up here at the top in the video effects. And we're going to put, we're going to use scale this time. So go ahead and hit scale, and that'll drop our keyframe right there. You can click on a keyframe and highlight it and then hit the delete key and it'll get rid of it. If you need to put one back down, click the button and it'll drop one back down. Remember, wherever you drop it, it will drop it with whatever setting you currently have. So make sure that you realize that, you know, if you're doing an animation, you don't drop some keyframes in there that might be the wrong size and not work out right. All right, so what I want to do is I want it to start small. So we're going to start right there, and it lights up when we're right on the keyframe. And we're going to shrink it. So I'm going to the right. See how it makes the logo teeny tiny? All right. Now I do want this to start at the beginning, so I'm going to drag this one back because I want that to be at the beginning, and I want it to pop in right about here at full size. So you know that the logo can't be huge. It's actually only going to come into about that big. And now watch. Here we go. Neat little animation, right? Super simple using keyframes. You can do this with any single setting that has keyframes. So you can imagine how crazy you can go with all of these settings. You have, like in the glow, alpha glow, you have all sorts of brightness controls that you can keyframe, and you can really make some elaborate animations. So, all right, next on the list, I wanted to talk to you guys about color grading. I get asked this question a lot. How do you color grade, or how do you get your colors right? And it's a lot like Lightroom, so it's a lot like, you know, Photoshop and that kind of stuff. But it's kind of its own thing. Generally, like this video is complete and it's made up of a lot of different clips. So I probably wouldn't grade the whole video at once. I would have done the grading back when I had individual clips, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start out with a simple color grade of the house here at the end. All right, we're just going to do this part. Now, keep in mind this video is processed and it's pretty blown out and all that kind of stuff. So this is just be basic settings. But the very first thing you want to do is click on your effects. And then what I usually use for this is the Lumetri presets. And there's a Lumetri speed look, universal, and you saw me do this before, neutral start. It's basically not going to really do anything to my image. And then the important setting here is your curves. You want to open up your curves and have that displayed next to your image. Make our image bigger because we're going to need some space here. This is going to get really cluttered really quick, and this is why you need a couple of monitors to work on usually. The next thing we want to do is come up here to Window, and we're going to open up Lumetri Scopes. Now, this is going to look really super confusing to you because it's kind of like a mess, and people usually don't know what these scopes do. They've never seen them before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull them out, and we're going to have them out here. See them. We're going to stretch them out a little bit. And I'm going to put this on float. So make sure that's float. And you want your signal to be lamped. That's just going to make things larger on the screen. I don't think there's any other settings that I usually do here. Let me just check really quick. Yeah, I think just use the basic setup. So, which is the color scopes. Been a while, so just that up for you. Okay. So if you see, notice the scope here that's on the left, and then the overall. We're going to be dealing with mostly what's here on the left. So if you look at this, it's a lot like a histogram. So if you see like the red is pushing hard into a plus 100, the green is a little lower and the blue is a little lower. If you come over here and you look at what you're seeing in the image, it's mostly reds. If I adjust back to that, and oh, it took, all right. I have to add that effect back in. Sorry about that. I think I hit Control Z somewhere and build that. So open up our curves. There we go. All right. So if we select the red, and you can see here that I can pull that line down. And if you notice in the image, the reds start to go away. So if you want a real balanced shot, now color grading, you can grade for different effects. You can grade, you know, for blue in the shadows, all that kind of stuff. And the way you would do that is, let's click on the blue, for instance. And you can see blue's a little low here, but if I pull this over, I can raise up the blue. And you notice the blue, where it appears now? If you're ever wondering like what these controls do, go ahead and really move them a lot, because they'll tell you. Watch what happens when I move this top control over. Notice the highlights are all turning really blue. That's because we're in the highlights up here at the top. Okay, that's what that means when we're there. So to kind of balance that out. And then if you look at down here, if I want the blue to show up in the shadows more, I just grab a hold of that pin and I boost it in the shadows. So you notice how now that as I pick this up, the shadows become more blue. So if I wanted to color grade this to basically be the typical kind of, Men in Black kind of look, you know, that orange and teal kind of thing going on. That's exactly how I would do it. I would just make orange happen, or the reds happen in my highlights. So those up over here in the highlights. I'll probably cut them a little bit from my shadows. So it's a little bit more blue. And now that's going to include also, we're going to need a little green in there. Remember, because it's orange we're looking for, really. Now you can see it start to take on that Marvel-esque kind of look. And if you need to retain any sort of contrast, you can always squeeze the image by pulling the dynamic range in. See, I can add contrast to the shadows by squeezing them down into the shadows if I want to go far. There you can see I totally squeezing the bandwidth, but it gives that look that you know, you can see behind here. That's that teal and orange kind of cinematic look. But if you're just looking to balance out all of your scopes to get a nice even tone, all you need to do is look at the scope here, and you can see that the green is low in the high end. We'll bring that up. I don't want to bring it up too far. I want to take the red. It's always better to cut if possible. I want to bring the red down a little bit. Okay, and then I want to take the blue, and I want to go ahead and raise the blue up in the highlights. Now, if you look at my image now as opposed to what it was, you can see that now that it's much more balanced. Very balanced image, and it's got this nice, the reds and the, you know, everything's balanced nicely. So if you're trying to neutralize the image, that's the best way to do it. Easy way to color grade and do that. Now you can use all these presets and all that kind of stuff. What I usually do is I will neutralize first. So let me do the green, make sure the green's right down here where it's supposed to be. There we go, that's looking better, right? Blue's getting a little out of hand. We're gonna adjust blue a little bit. Oh, all right. So we got that pretty well done. So I'm going to turn off the scope for now. And we'll look at our image, and our image looks pretty good. But if I want to add like a colorized effect, then I'll usually use the color wheels down here. Or I will use the HSL secondary. But the color wheels are super easy to use. If I want blue in the shadows, I grab a hold of the crosshairs and I move it to the blue. Now you're going to see that the blue will start to invade the shadows. There we go. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, why don't we just do that all with the curves? And you can, but this basically neutralizes the video and then applies the color properly rather than just going crazy with all of the sliders and the curves. So there's more of the classic blue and teal or orange and teal look. And that's basically how you would make your own color grading preset. And like I said, this won't grade the entire video because it'll apply this to every single video, and each clip is going to be different. And this is one of the reasons why we usually shoot, like a 10-second scene, because we want to grade that scene for the color in that scene. If we try to grade our whole video at once, it just won't make a whole lot of sense, because your scenes are all going to be, the colors are going to be a little different. You're probably going to shoot them at different times. Camera settings may be different. Lighting situations might be different. The sun may be different. There's a lot of factors. So essentially the grading is something that you want to do afterwards and do it by clip. That's usually the best way to do it. Once you have that initial grading done, you can do a grade over the whole video though. So, hey Lori, how you doing? I see you out there. I'm not sure Janice made it tonight. Might be here but being very quiet. I didn't know if you guys had any questions or anything that you wanted me to answer. We did keyframing earlier in this color grading. There's also all sorts of forms of effects controls and things that we can apply. And I haven't really talked about that too much other than the system itself. So let me just briefly touch back on how the effects system works, because I know that can be confusing at first too. When you want to apply an effect to a specific clip, all you really need to do is find the effect over here in the effects picker box. So we're going to move this up. You always do a lot of moving of my workspace when I'm doing this. And then you're going to go to video effects, because we're going to do a video effect. And there's all sorts of neat things you can do in here. There's lens flares. There is I think there's a thing in here that'll allow you to make particles and all that kind of stuff, although I think that's mostly over in After Effects now. Not next week. Next week we're off because it's Memorial Day weekend, I think. But the following week we're going to be integrating and starting to use a little bit of After Effects and show you how you can stabilize video and use After Effects live with Premiere and how it'll auto update. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll dedicate a whole evening to that because it's definitely going to be neat. So let's just throw something in here and play with it and see what happens. I've never used Paint Bucket before. Oh, let's do lightning. Let's create lightning in a scene that doesn't really need it. So all I'm going to do is grab my effect. I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to drop it. All right? And there's lightning. Look, it just appeared on the screen. And I think for the entire clip, because it's a long clip, it'll actually, yes, lightning will happen in the middle of the screen for the whole thing. So that's pretty cool. And then you can go to the effects controls. And just like anything else, once you go over here and look at this, look, there's all these controls for making lightning. So let's just go to a scene where you definitely can see it. Well, that's definitely a scene that you can see it because it's pretty well dark. Oops. Find something where it really stands out. Probably not. Definitely not that scene. You can kind of see it right there. All right, well, we'll make it brighter so you can see it. So we have amplitude. Let me crank that up. That's going to make it a lot more zigzaggy. You can add segments to it so it becomes like super complicated. I'm sure that you can control the width. You sure can. So you can make it super thick. Bolt of lightning. You're also going to be able to control the way that it the angle that it comes down, I'm pretty sure. We have a start point and an end point. So if I alter the start point and end point, you can see that the end point moves the lightning over. I'm sure this one's going to move it down. So if I want to have it coming across the screen, I can do that. And let's move it up the screen. It's more. There's lightning coming from above. All right, and so it's not so spastic. Let's pull the amplitude back down. That's like a real lightning bolt. So if we play that now, which you probably won't play very well because it's trying to generate this live. We do one. There we go. Let's see a little bit of it. We can actually create a lightning bolt in our scene. So there it is. Look, everywhere. Now, what's really cool is if I just wanted a lightning bolt at the beginning, let's say I wanted a lightning bolt to come down and strike that lettering. What I can do is I can keyframe it. So what you're going to see is we'll figure out what turns it on and turns it off. It looks like it's going to just be simulation. Try that. Simulation on. Right at the end of our text. There. There. Turn this off. So rerun it each. Oh, I see. Doesn't allow us to control. It's interesting. So what we can do, I'll show you how to make your way around this. So let's remove lightning from this layer. Let's add a new layer. So we'll select this track. We're going to add, let's see here. See project. There we go. Right click down here. We're going to do a new item. We're going to do, let's see, an adjustment layer. A color matte is what we want. Color matte. We're going to use black because it's a matte. Don't want it to show up. There we go. So you can see I overlaid that on the scene. Put it on the track, so we just have to put that back. Put this one up here on its own track. There we go. All right, getting there. So this is a color matte. I think we can do a blending mode of lighten. Interesting, black should not do that. I guess the opening screen was blue. Oh, it's because of my Lumetri color preset that I have on here. Let's remove that. Ding ding. All right, there we go. Okay, so a bit confusing. So you can see it's basically an invisible layer right now. So what I'm going to do, zoom in. The bars down here at the bottom. I'm going to make this effects exactly the same length as the actual logo itself. So just as long as the year one's here. And now I'm going to apply my lightning effect to that layer. And you should see the lightning appear after a second. Although, it seems to be sure that it's on and working. Screen. It's definitely on. Go. Turn the layer back on and set this to hard light. There we go. I think we can set them both to the same. I think we can send them both to add. I'm not sure, so let's just try that. Let's just set that one to add, and I think it's overlay, screen, and our logo should appear. There we go. We got our lightning acting all funky. Zzz. All right, now so say we wanted to just have lightning appear behind our letters or whatever. Now we can just basically position this wherever we want to. Let's move it right over to here, there, and then we'll move it down so where it appears right behind. All right, you can see now we have lightning that appears behind our letters. So pretty simple, pretty easy, and all these different effects and whatnot do crazy cool things like this. So yes, they're yeah. I think in big films. No, actually, I think just about everything today is 3D rendered. I would be hard pressed to find them shooting real lightning anywhere. So, but you know, it's pretty cool. It's just you have the render capabilities like Adobe Photoshop. Now you can actually render full trees in if you want to. So you can do all sorts of different things like that. I have a couple of plugins that I really enjoy. One is called Magic Bullet, and I think you guys probably know that I've used this before, but let me show you what that does. We're going to drag looks over onto our scene here, and then we're going to open up another screen. And to do that, you can see a big button here appears here for edit. So we're going to open up a big edit screen. Going to open up, of course, on the wrong window, but we'll drag it back over here. That window's gone crazy, like Windows gone crazy. Bring this over here. Told you it was a big giant window because it went to the other monitor. There we go. All right, so this is really cool because this has got simple grading built into it. Just click, plug and play, easy peasy. It's got amazing enhancements, so you can get some seriously cool looking cinematic looks to your scenes. It's got some awesome grungy, I mean, just that looks amazing. Got some black and white presets. Some beautiful looks. You know, you can go Michael Bay if you want to. Just a little Michael Bay for you. Silverfish. And then there's like things right out of like movies and places. So if you want, you know, to control your video similarly to the way that you do your photos and whatnot, you have that capability. So that's gonna about do it. You guys get in there and play around. That's the best thing I can tell you. Is go out and shoot some video and play with it and try these different things. If you have a question on any of the external software like Magic Bullet Looks or any of this kind of stuff, I'd be happy to help you guys out with that. The other thing is that if you're at all interested, and I don't know if you are, but I know we talked about doing tutorial videos and how I shoot those. I'd be more than happy to do a piece on that. I don't use Premiere for that, actually. I use another piece of software, but I could do a tutorial on that. But there's some other work that I do in, what is the name of the software? Got it right on the tip of my tongue. There's Adobe Premiere and After Effects. I was going to tell you about something else. About making a photo slideshow. So how to put together a simple photo slideshow with your photos and music and all that kind of stuff. And I'd love to demonstrate that for you guys. I've done it in the past, and it's usually a pretty popular thing to do. So, and I use Premiere for that. So, or you can also use Lightroom, believe it or not, to do that. So let me know what you guys think. I think right now, I think we have about 4 people that are actually going through the course together. So get together, hit me up. We've got a whole week off, so you guys enjoy your week off, and then we'll get together on the other side, and we'll the next one we're going to do, I think, is I'm going to try to shoot a vlog between now and then, and we're going to talk about After Effects. All right, guys. So thanks for hanging out. And I don't think you have any more questions. I'm kind of looking over. Can I apply a mask to an image and then apply a fade to a mask to slowly reveal an image, creating tutorials in sounds? Yeah. Actually, doing masks are pretty cool. That's a pretty involved setup. But if you notice on any of these effects controls over here, you can see there's a little pen tool, a little square, and a little circle. So if I'm on my main video, let's go to year 1. I'm right in the middle of year 1. So let's just say that we wanted to reveal year 1 in some spectacularly crazy way. What we can do is actually use the masking tool. Now, if you notice, as soon as I created that, year 1 disappeared. But watch as I move it over. See how that works? I can actually animate my mask. So this would be really cool. I'm going to start my mask right there. Okay. And I think what we want to do is do a mask path. So we're going to start at the beginning, and we're going to create a key. The animation is on. Right? That's the first one. Add another keyframe. May have had to turn on animation first. I did. There's the first one. Right. You notice it didn't move. I'm going to go to this keyframe, and we're going to move it over to here. Year 1. So now it should move. It did. Oh wait. It's tracking. So I think that you can actually lock the tracking onto an object and then have the mask move with it. So that's basically what the tracking is going to do. So that's what you see with these little guys right here. Since this particular track doesn't move, it's not doing anything, I don't think, but it may affect the way that it comes out from the side. So we'll have to look at it when it's done. I haven't worked too much with animating masks, but I do know that you can do it. But that is how you do it. You add a mask, and then you can change the shape of it. You can draw a mask. So if you're doing a complex image and you want to cut something out of it and then have it appear in the image, you can use the complex, the pen tool, and you can cut the entire image out. So I could literally cut the O out of 1 and have just that be masked out. Or the E or whatever I wanted to do. If a box doesn't work and a circle doesn't work, then you have the pen tool to be able to actually draw your mask on the screen. And then it gives you Bezier curves so that you can actually adjust that mask to get it dialed in. And you can also control the opacity and the expansion of it as well. So this will animate this. It won't move. I don't think it's going to move at all. And I'll show you how to use like the mask expansion. And you can animate that pretty easily as well. Almost done. Ever. All right, let's just see what it did. I don't think it did anything. But you can see that the mask cuts it off, so it just kind of appears, which is kind of cool. But if you control the mask expansion, you just basically turn on the keyframes for that. And you can see, I think we expand it, contract it. And again, some of this stuff needs to be on when you actually create the mask, I think. Create the mask, we put it down, and then the expansion and contraction change what it does. And there's also anchor points too. And again, I'm not overly familiar with how to do a lot of them, so it's kind of new for me. Because they move the text stuff around and whatnot as well, which confused the heck out of me. So, oops, looks like it's going. that one, the one I animated, and that's probably why it didn't move, is because I actually added it. So let's see what this does. Split that there. Path. Don't know why it disappears immediately. It's all those. Might as well figure it out now, right? So we can show it. Let's see. Oh, mask path. Yes, I've got you. I have to draw my path. I have to do that? Oh, it is there. Why is it disappear and then show up? I think I have to select it again. Not very intuitive. And I don't know why now I can't delete this mask. That's weird. Okay, we have that mask. And what happens if I move it? And then move my timeline. How everything else works in this stupid thing. Move it there. Move? Yes, it moved. Look at it. It did actually moved. Okay, so let's say we want to move that up to there. Doesn't seem to be masking it because my mask expansion is 0. No. Feather opacity. I love it when things don't work the way that they're supposed to. Okay. Well, the mask moves. That's nice. But I think because this secondary mask here. Oh, there we go. Now. Does this work? Hey, look, it works. It doesn't. It kind of changed the way the animation is, though. Well, let's see. More. Text is in before the. There we go. Get it to do like a dual. Yeah, there we go. So we got the mask to move. You have to click on the actual word mask path to have it show up. And I'm sure that the other stuff that you can do, pretty sure, at the back at the beginning, I think you can actually control. Try this, we'll find out. I think you can control the shape. Yep. So you can also control the shape of the mask as it's going. So be right on your keyframe, and I might, say the mask is going to be. We can actually change the shape of the mask. So if I had something in the scene that I wanted to cut out or replace and use from an actual other layer, what the mask does is it either masks out the layer or it'll add a layer, something else to it. So if I move that mask, I think too, the other thing you can do is you can copy, and if I wanted to change this down to another scene and then paste it. Paste. Effects controls, we'll get there. And no, it won't allow me to paste a mask on it. So while it allowed me to copy it, I could not paste it. It's kind of interesting. Can't paste the mask. So anyways, that's basically how you do it. Make a mask. So yeah, I think that if you really enjoy this sort of stuff, so yeah, it's all of the. So Lori's asking what happens if you fade the feather or the opacity. So let's just look at that really quick, and let's get on that layer. So we also have the feather, which if we move it over, let's move it over so it affects the text there, so we can see the edge. So here we can add feather. You can see where it's nice and now it becomes nice and smooth. So it kind of does like a nicely, and what we can do is we can key frame that as well. So we could start it at 0 and move it up. And then opacity as well, which will, if you watch, I move the slider, it'll actually do that as well. So if I start at 0 and we make a keyframe and then I move it to the next, and by the way, you can move back and forth and get your keyframes lined up by using these arrows. So these arrows will go from keyframe to keyframe. So once I know I'm aligned on that one, then I can change my opacity here, and that'll create a keyframe that'll make it 100%. So now you can see it kind of reveals it, and the opacity number, if you look at the opacity here, you can see it go up as it moves along. So you have full control over just about any automation that you want to. As long as that stopwatch is there, you can keyframe it. And then usually the drop-down boxes give you more granular control of the transitions. So there, you might want to have this, speed up or slow down or act something different. You can add a Bezier curve to that, which allows you to go ahead and change the way that this acts over time. Let's click on our mask and we'll see our mask opacity. Our mask path is but you can see that's the way that the velocity of the time change goes. So you can control the curve of that. You can come up with all sorts of really organic looks because it's not so linear. Linear, when you're doing the keyframes and you're keeping it really linear, it has a very robotic kind of look to it. So by adding the curves and the speed up and slow down, that really gives it a more organic kind of look. That's why I added that to the letters fading in. I wanted it to roll in and then slowly creep to the stop point instead of just being coming right out there all at once. So that's keyframes. Any more questions at all on keyframes, Lori, that I can answer for you? More than happy to. You can have text follow a path and all that kind of stuff, but most of that kind of stuff is available only in After Effects. I'm not really positive. Now, that may have changed now that they have... I'm pretty sure that you can't follow text to a path in Premiere. You have to actually put it over. After Effects is kind of like the boosted version of Premiere. Everything's in 3D, rendered, all that kind of stuff. So we can do particle storms. I created a logo here the other day. Let me see if I can find that, and I'll show you the level of things that you can create with After Effects, which is something you couldn't do in. Excuse me for just a minute. Let me look here, and I'll see if I can find it. It's something that you basically could not do with Premiere. Premiere just doesn't have that capability. So let me find. Menus have flown everywhere. Just find my rendered video here really quick. Where I put it. Put it someplace. Drag it in and I'll show it to you. $4K. Yes, all right. Now the question is, where did I put it? I hate it when I lose stuff. Closer. Oh, I guess I don't have it here to show you guys. That stinks. But I have it on YouTube, so I can show it to you on YouTube, and I'll share it over on Patreon. But basically, it's a logo that I made. Let's do this. Aha! I can show it to you. As long as all the assets are available, we'll load up After Effects and I'll show you what After Effects looks like. Oh, by the way, tonight I'm drinking a Nitro Milk Stout. Very good. Very smooth. And that's loading up in the background, so we'll get it here. After Effects is included in CS6, so you should be good. If you got the the package. After Effects is usually packaged with Adobe Premiere because they work together. So usually if you have one, the other one's around somewhere. I'm waiting for my project to load. This was a pretty cool animation. This was one of the first times that I did the entire animation from scratch. So I did all of it, not just some of it, but I actually did all of the animation from scratch. So you guys know that I'm doing some work for Luminar. So my goal here was to create a flying in space sort of thing. So we started out with a simple lens flare, and I had to create the particle space as well. So it includes, show you what the space looks like. This is a much different way to back workspace back there, pal. This is a thing called Particular, and it allows me to create a space field, so to speak. All of my windows have changed. So normally there's an effects window right here. There is nothing. Try that. There we go. All right, effects control. There we go. Okay, so let's get that to a right size and click on that. There's the effects. Okay, so this is a thing called Particular, and you create particles and you make a little emulator. So this little thing in the middle is an emitter of particles, and if I turn this way down, you can see all the stars go away. And if I turn it way up, we can create massive amounts of more stars. And it does motion blur, so you can see, so there it's like ridiculous level. You can control how far the stars, the field of stars appear in the background, and how close they can get to you before they disappear, or if they're actually going to like hit the actual screen. It's all in 3D space, and you can even control what the stars look like. So we can have right now they're set to a sphere and depth of field, which means that they go in and out of focus, so they look very real. But we can also create little glow balls that don't look so real, and they don't go out of focus, and kind of have a glow to them. Or you can do an actual star. They look like little stars, like real, like, crisscrossy star thingies. It takes a while to render, of course. It wouldn't take as long to render if I just turned down the amount of particles that we have right now. I'm going to do that because my machine is coughing death. Let's just do mini amounts of stars. How's that? There we go. So you can see they all look like little stars. And as you animate, they appear to fly. So let's go back to our main comp. So we have the lens flare coming out, and all these different layers do different things. So we have the lens flare coming out that slides in from the side, and then you can see the logo appears, and they animate. And this all uses keyframes, just like everything else that we've done. And then we have a little smoke thing that appears, and it's all color controlled and all that kind of stuff. And that's all created in After Effects. After Effects is so much fun, but it takes a long time to build things like this. So, yeah, it's you have water. Not sure what that. Oh, you have water instead of nitro. I get it. I get you. My chat is like 5 minutes behind what really happens in the room. People don't understand it. Like, get it? It's 5 minutes. I have to go back in time. So, anyways, that's gonna about do it for this this stream. We're right at 9 o'clock, so it's been an hour. Thanks so much for joining me, and make sure communicate on Patreon. Let me know what you want to learn. Let me know things that you're curious about. I'd be more than happy to do a tutorial on, oh, I'm not sure how to use this effect, or what do I need to shoot video? What, how should I do this? What lens should I use? All that kind of stuff. That's the kind of topics of conversations that are going to help everybody. So please feel free to put those questions over on Patreon. There's no dumb questions. The only dumb questions are ones that don't get asked. So make sure you post over there. And have a great weekend off, and an extended weekend off next week. And I will be back, I think the next date, if I know my calendar right, yes, is June 5th. I'll be back. And at that point, we'll do a little bit more in-depth with After Effects and be talking about creating our first vlog and how I put those together. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.